All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Question for you. Why would you read the DMV handbook if somebody can read it for you? And why wouldn't you listen to it if somebody's reading it for you, especially when your life depends on this most important information? You want to be a safe driver? Know this information. Right now we're starting on page 46, continuing with where not to park your vehicle. Do not park in a space designated for parking or fueling zero-emissions vehicle which displays an identifying decal. Do not park in a tunnel or on a bridge, except where permitted by signs. Do not park within 15 feet of a fire hydrant or a fire station driveway. Do not park on or within 7.5 feet of a railroad track. Also, do not park between a safety zone and the curb. Don't double park either, which is parking in the street while all legal parking spaces at the curb are taken. Don't park on the wrong side of the street. Don't park at a red curb. Don't park on a freeway, except in an emergency or when a peace officer requires you to stop, or where a stop is specifically permitted. A vehicle, even if it's disabled, that is stopped, parked, or left standing on a freeway for more than 4 hours may be removed. Note: if you must stop on a freeway, park completely off the pavement and stay in your vehicle, with the doors locked until help arrives. Leave enough space for other vehicles to freely pass by your vehicle. Your vehicle should be visible for at least 200 feet in each direction. Now let's talk about special parking rules. When you park alongside a curb on a level street, the front and back wheels must be parallel within 18 inches of the curb. Park parallel to the street if there is no curb. Never leave your vehicle while the engine is still running. Stop the engine and set the parking brake. When you are ready to exit your vehicle, look carefully for passing vehicles, bicyclists and motorcyclists. Do not open the door unless it's safe and you do not interfere with traffic. Do not leave the door open longer than necessary. All right, let's talk about safe driving practices and signaling. Always signal when turning left or right, changing lanes, slowing down, or stopping. It lets the other drivers and motorcyclists, bicyclists, pedestrians, etc. know your intentions. Signals may be given by hand or arm positions, or by using the vehicle's signal lights. If bright sunlight makes the signal lights hard to see, also use hand and arm signals. Take a look at this screen here for your left turn, right turn, and slow or stop signals with your arm. Now, motorcyclists often use hand signals to make themselves more visible. Bicyclists may give right turn signals with their right arm held straight out, pointing right. Signal during the last 100 feet before reaching the turning point. Caution: even though you signal, do not assume that the space you want to occupy is clear. Before every lane change, you're supposed to signal, check your mirrors, look over your shoulder, and check your blind spot before changing lanes. Signal at least 5 seconds before you change lanes on a freeway. Signal before pulling next to the curb or away from the curb. When you change directions, signal. Also signal even when you do not see other vehicles. A vehicle you do not see may suddenly appear and hit you. Signal if you plan to turn beyond an intersection. Start signaling when you are in the intersection. If you signaled too early, the other drivers may think you plan to turn into the intersection and he or she may pull out in front of you. Remember to cancel your signal after you turn. All right, time to talk about steering. Modern technology is changing the demands of steering the vehicle. Recommendations for steering control and hand positions differ from vehicle to vehicle based on the size, age, speed, and responsiveness of the vehicle. While there is no one correct hand position or way to steer, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has provided some basic guidelines, which are as follows. Your hand position. If you think of the steering wheel as the face of a clock, place your hands at 9 and 3 o'clock, or slightly lower at 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock. Now, to reduce face, arm, and hand injuries in the case of a deployed airbag, you should grip the outside of the steering wheel with your knuckles on the outside of the wheel and your thumbs stretched along the rim. Controlling the vehicle. There is no one correct way to steer a vehicle safely, but here are a few steering methods recommended by the NHTSA. Hand-to-hand steering. This steering method may also be called push-pull steering. Using this steering method, your hands do not cross over the face of the steering wheel, and therefore there is less chance of injury to your face, arms, or hands in the event of an airbag deploying. When using this method, start with your hands at 9 and 3 o'clock, or slightly lower at 8 and 4 o'clock. Now, depending on the direction you are turning, one hand will push the wheel up and the opposite will pull the wheel down. Okay, let's talk about hand-over-hand steering. This method of steering can be used when turning at low speeds, when parking, or when recovering from a skid. When using this method, start with your hands at 9 and 3 o'clock, or slightly lower at 8 and 4 o'clock. Depending on the direction you are turning, one hand will push the wheel up while the other hand will let go. Reach across the other arm and grasp the wheel and pull up. Now let's talk about one-hand steering. The NHTSA recommends using one-hand steering only when turning while backing, or when operating a vehicle controls that require moving a hand from the steering wheel. The only time that a 12 o'clock hand position is recommended is when backing a vehicle while turning, as the driver must turn his or her seat to see the path of the vehicle. The placement of hands at 9 and 3 o'clock, or slightly lower at 8 and 4 o'clock on the wheel is critical to the vehicle balance. Time to talk about horn headlights and emergency signals. Use your horn only when necessary to avoid collisions, or to try to get eye contact with other drivers. Now, you may tap your horn to alert another driver who might turn in front of you and cause a collision. Use your horn on narrow mountain roads where you cannot see at least 200 feet ahead of your vehicle. Now, when not to use your horn. Do not use your horn if a driver or bicyclist is moving slowly and you want him or her to drive faster or get out of your way. Don't use your horn. The driver of the bicyclist may not be able to safely go fast due to an illness, being lost, intoxication, or mechanical problems with the vehicle. Do not use your horn to alert other drivers that they made a mistake. Your honking may cause them to make more mistakes or to become angry and retaliate. Do not use your horn because you may be angry or upset. And do not use your horn to honk at pedestrians, bicyclists, or motorcycles unless necessary to avoid a collision. Now remember that your horn sounds much louder outside of the vehicle. And note, honking your horn may startle other drivers. It is safe to slow down or stop instead of honking your horn. Okay, using your headlights. Use your headlights when it is cloudy, rainy, snowy, or foggy. If weather conditions require you to use your windshield wipers, you are required to turn on your low beam headlights. It's the law. Use your headlights on frosty mornings when other drivers' windows may be icy or fogged. Use your headlights anytime conditions prevent you from seeing other vehicles. Other drivers may have trouble seeing you too. Use your headlights on small country and mountain roads even on sunny days. This helps other drivers see you and may help you avoid a head-on collision. Use your headlights when necessary to get another driver's attention. When to use your emergency signals. Use your emergency signals if you can see a collision ahead. Warn the drivers behind you by turning on your emergency flashers or tapping your brake pedal quickly 3 to 4 times. You can also use the hand signal when slowing and stopping. Never stop on the road unless necessary for safety to obey the law. If you need to stop, start braking early as a signal to the cars behind you. If your vehicle breaks down on the road, make sure that the other drivers can see it. If you experience vehicle trouble and need to stop, follow these rules. Pull off the road away from all traffic if possible. If you cannot get completely off the road, stop where people can see you and your vehicle from behind. Do not stop just on the other side of a hill or just around a curve. Turn on your emergency flashers if you are not moving. If your vehicle doesn't have emergency flashers, turn signals may be used instead. If it is safe, lift the hood to signal an emergency. Give other drivers plenty of warning. Place emergency flares or triangles 200 to 300 feet behind your vehicle. Now this allows other drivers time to change lanes if necessary. And be very careful when using flares. They may cause fires, especially when used near flammable liquids. If you do not have emergency flares, follow these rules listed above and stay in your vehicle until help arrives. Be careful for your safety and stay off the road. Remember, do not try to change a tire if it means you have to stand in a traffic lane. Alright, it's time to talk about text messaging and your cell phone. It is illegal to drive a motor vehicle while using an electronic wireless communication device to write, send, or read text messages, instant messages, and emails, unless you are 18 years old or older and use an electronic wireless communication device designed and configured to allow voice-operated and hand-free operation to dedicate, send, or listen to text-based communications when operating a vehicle. Okay, so what all that means is if you're not 18 years old, you're not allowed to use your cell phone to get text messages or any kind of writing messages. If you're over 18, it's got to be hands-free. Okay, although hands-free devices are permitted, except for minors, drivers should minimize distractions to focus on safe driving practices. Call for help in emergencies only. If your cell phone rings, do not answer it. Let the call go to your voicemail if you have this feature. If you must make a call, pull safely off the road and stop before making the call. Keep your telephone conversations short, or if possible, have a passenger make the call. Do not use your cell phone during hazardous conditions or to engage in distracting conversations. Note, minors may not use a cell phone except in certain emergencies. Let's talk about your vehicle positioning and your following distance. Suppose that you're on a two-lane road with an oncoming vehicle approaching and a bicyclist ahead on your right. Instead of driving between the vehicle and the bicyclist, take one danger at a time. So first slow down and let the oncoming vehicle pass, and then when it's safe to do so, move to the left to allow plenty of room, at least 3 feet, to pass the bicyclist. Now, persons who present dangers to drivers. Increase your following distance and allow a bigger space cushion for drivers who may be potentially dangerous. Persons who present dangers are drivers who cannot see you because their view is blocked by buildings, trees, or other cars. Persons who are dangerous may be drivers backing out of a driveway or a parking space. A dangerous driver may be a driver who pass you when there is a curve or oncoming vehicle ahead of you, or drivers about to be forced into your lane to avoid a vehicle, pedestrian, bicyclist obstruction, or because of fewer lanes ahead. Okay. Persons who present dangers are also pedestrians with umbrellas in front of their faces or hats pulled down over their eyes. Persons who present danger to you are distracted people, such as delivery persons, construction workers, distracted pedestrians, children, drivers talking on a cell phone or speaking with their passengers, drivers taking care of children, eating, or looking at maps while driving. Now, confused people, such as tourists, often at complicated intersections, or drivers who are looking for a house number or who slow down for non-apparent reasons. Okay, let's talk about a little something called splitting the difference. Sometimes there will be dangers on both sides of the road at the same time. For example, there will be parked cars to the right and oncoming cars to the left. If this is the case, the best thing to do is split the difference. Steer a middle course between the oncoming cars and the parked cars. If one danger is greater than the other, give the most room to the most dangerous situation. Suppose there's an oncoming car on your left side and a child on a bike on your right side. Now, the child is more likely to make a sudden move. Therefore, slow down, and if it's safe, use as much of your lane to the left as possible until you pass the child. All right, let's talk about merging in and out of traffic. Whenever you enter traffic, signal and be sure you have enough room to safely enter the lane. If you have to share space with traffic already on the road, and you must know how much space you need to merge with traffic, cross or enter traffic, and exit out of traffic. Now, how much space do you need to merge? Well, space to merge, enter the freeway at or near the speed of traffic. Now remember that the maximum speed allowed is 65 miles per hour on most freeways. Do not stop before merging into freeway traffic, unless it's absolutely necessary. Freeway traffic has the right-of-way. Anytime you merge with other vehicle traffic, you need a gap of at least 4 seconds, which gives both you and the other vehicle only a 2-second following distance. Now, when it is safe, go back to following a 3-second rule. Refer to the Do Not Be a Tailgater section in this video series on page 34. Do not try to squeeze into a gap that is too small. Watch for vehicles around you, use your mirrors and turn signals. Turn your head to look quickly over your shoulder before changing lanes or merge into traffic. Leave 3 seconds of space between you and the vehicle ahead of you. Make sure you can stop safely if necessary. If you need to cross several freeway lanes, cross them one at a time. If you wait until all the lanes are clear, you may cause traffic delays or a collision. Okay, space to cross or enter. Whenever you cross or enter city or highway traffic from a full stop, you will need a large enough gap from vehicles approaching on either direction. Now, you'll need a large enough gap to get up to the speed of other vehicles. You need a gap that is about half a block on city streets, or you need a gap that is about a full block on the highway. If you are crossing lanes or turning, make sure that there is no vehicles or people blocking the path ahead of you or to the sides of your vehicle. You do not want to be caught in an intersection with traffic coming at you. Even if you have the green traffic signal light, do not start across the intersection if there are vehicles blocking your way. When turning left, do not start the turn just because an approaching vehicle has its right turn signal on. The driver may plan to turn just before you, or the signal may have been left on from an earlier turn. This is particularly true for motorcycles. Their signal lights often do not turn off automatically, so wait until the other driver actually starts to turn before you continue. Now, what about space to exit? When you plan to exit the freeway, give yourself plenty of time. You should know the name or number of the freeway exit you want, as well as one that comes before it. Now, to safely exit, signal, look over your shoulder, and change lanes at the time until you are in the proper lane to exit the freeway. Signal your intention to exit approximately 5 seconds before reaching the exit. Be sure you're in the proper speed for leaving the traffic lane and not too fast and not too slow. Passing. Let's talk about passing. When approaching to pass, before you pass, look ahead for road conditions and traffic that may cause other vehicles to move into your lane. Only pass when it's safe to do so. You must judge whether or not you have enough room to pass whenever you approach an oncoming vehicle, a hill or curve, an intersection, a road obstruction, or a bicyclist. Now, do not pass if you are approaching a hill or a curve and you cannot see if there's other traffic approaching. Do not pass within 100 feet of an intersection. Vehicles may appear to move slower than they are actually moving. A vehicle that is far away generally appears to be standing still. If you can see it moving closer to you, it is probably too close for you to start to pass. Now, how to pass? Never drive off the paved or main traveled part of the road or the shoulder to pass. The edge of the main traveled portion of the road may have been painted white line on the road surface. Passing other vehicles at crossroads, railroad crossings, and driveways is also dangerous. Pass traffic on the left. You may pass on the right only when an open highway is clearly marked for 2 or more lanes of travel in your direction. You may only pass on the right when the driver ahead of you is turning left and you do not drive off the roadway to pass. Never pass on the left if the driver is signaling to turn left. You may pass on the right only when on a one-way street. Always signal before passing. You may also lightly tap your horn or briefly flash your lights to let the other driver know you intend to pass. Do not pull out to pass unless you know you have enough space to pull back into your lane. Avoid passing other vehicles, including motorcycles and bicyclists, on a two-lane road. It's dangerous. Every time you pass, you increase your chances of having a collision. However, when you pass a bicyclist, be patient. Slow down and pass the bicyclist only when it's safe, allowing a minimum of 3 feet between your vehicle and the bicyclist where possible. Do not squeeze the bicyclist off the road. At highway speeds of 50 to 55 miles per hour, you need 10 to 12 second gap in oncoming traffic to pass safely. Now at 55 miles per hour, you will travel over 800 feet in 10 seconds. So will an oncoming vehicle. That means you need over 1,600 feet, or about a third of a mile, to pass safely. It is hard to see and judge the speed of oncoming vehicles that are traveling a third of a mile or more ahead of you. Return to a lane after passing. Before you return to your driving lane, be sure you are not too dangerously close to the vehicle you have just passed. One way to do this is to look for your vehicle in your inside rear view mirror. Look for their vehicle. When you can see both headlights in your rear view mirror, you may have enough room to return to your driving lane. Do not count on having enough time to pass several vehicles at once, or that other drivers will make room for you. Now, when you're being passed, if a vehicle is passing you, or has signaled he or she wants to pass you, you should avoid accelerating and maintain your lane position to allow the vehicle to pass you. Do not accelerate or try to go faster to avoid being passed. Share the road. Sharing the road. Large trucks, also known as big rigs, and recreational vehicles, or RVs. Let's talk about RVs and big rigs. To reduce the chances of having a collision with a large truck or RV, you must be familiar with a big rig's physical capabilities, and how it maneuvers. Braking. Large trucks take longer to stop than vehicles traveling at the same speed. The average passenger vehicle traveling at 55 can stop within 400 feet. However, a large truck traveling at the same speed can take almost 800 feet to stop. Do not move in front of a large truck and suddenly slow down or stop. The truck driver will not be able to stop quickly enough to avoid crashing into you. Also, truckers' blind spots are the no zone. Passenger vehicles driving incorrectly assume that a trucker can see the road better because he or she is higher off the road. While truckers do have a better forward view and bigger mirrors, they still have large blind spots, and your vehicle can get lost in their blind spot. If you stay in those blind spots, you block the trucker's ability to take evasion action to avoid a dangerous situation. So generally speaking, if you cannot see the truck driver in his or her side mirror, he or she cannot see you. These blind spots are often called the no zone. Take a look at the picture here for the no zone. So this is the no zone. Driver can't see you there, or here, or here. Avoid those when necessary. Turning. When a vehicle makes a turn, the rear wheels follow a shorter path than the front wheels. The longer the vehicle, the greater the distance in the turning path. This is why big rig drivers must often swing wide to complete a right turn. When you follow a big rig, look at its turn signals before you start to pass. If the truck appears to be turning left, check the turn signals again. The driver may actually be turning right, but first swing wide. Maneuverability. Trucks are not as maneuverable as passenger vehicles. Large trucks have longer stopping and starting distances. They take more space for turns and they weigh more. When no signs are posted, these vehicles must be driven in the right-hand traffic lane or as close as possible to the right edge of the road. On a divided highway with 4 or more traffic lanes in one direction, these vehicles may also be driven in the lane just to the left of the right-hand lane. Avoid these mistakes when driving around large trucks. Avoid cutting off a truck in traffic or on highway to reach an exit or turn. Cutting into the open space in front of a truck is dangerous. Trying to beat a truck through a signal lane construction zone, for example, removes the truck driver's cushion of safety and places you and others in danger. Slow down and take your turn entering the construction zone. Do not speed up to pass a truck, so you can exit the roadway. Take a moment to slow down and exit behind a truck. It will only take a few more extra seconds. Okay, also avoid this mistake. Avoid lingering alongside a truck when passing. Always pass a large truck on the left side, and after you pass the truck, move ahead of it. Do not linger. Otherwise, you may make it very difficult, if not impossible, for the trucker to take evasion action if an obstacle appears in the road ahead. Avoid following too closely or tailgating the truck. When you follow too closely behind a truck, the truck driver may not be able to see you. The truck driver cannot see you as he has no way of knowing you're there. Tailgating a truck, or any vehicle for that matter, is dangerous because you take away your own cushion of safety if the vehicle in front of you needs to stop quickly. Avoid underestimating the size and speed of an approaching tractor-trailer truck. A large tractor-trailer often appears to be traveling at a slower speed because of its large size. And many collisions involving a passenger vehicle and a large truck occur at intersections, when the passenger vehicle driver did not realize how close the truck was or how fast it was traveling. All right, let's talk about buses, streetcars, and trolleys. Do not drive through a safety zone. This is a space set aside for pedestrians and marked by raised buttons or markers on the roadway. When people are boarding or leaving a streetcar trolley where there is no safety zone, stop behind the vehicle nearest door or vehicle platform and wait until the people have reached a safe place. When a bus, streetcar, or trolley is stopped at a safety zone or at an intersection where traffic is controlled by a peace officer or traffic signal light, you may pass at no more than 10 miles per hour. Do not overtake and pass any light rail vehicle or streetcar on the left side, whether it is moving or standing. But there are some exceptions. Exceptions are when you are on a one-way street, when the tracks are so close to the right side that you cannot pass on the right, or when a traffic officer directs you to pass on the left. Let's talk about light rail vehicles. Light rail vehicles have the same rights and responsibilities on public roadways as other vehicles. Although everyone must follow the same traffic laws, light rail vehicles require exceptional handling ability because of their size. Safely share the road with light rail vehicles by being aware of where light rail vehicles operate, buildings, trees, etc. These cause blind spots for the trolley operator. Never turning in front of an approaching light rail vehicle. Maintain a safe distance from the light rail vehicle if it shares a street with vehicular traffic. Looking for approaching light rail vehicles before you turn across the tracks. Complete your turn only if a traffic signal light indicates you may proceed. Now note, light rail vehicles can interrupt traffic signal lights. Do not proceed until the traffic signal light indicates you may proceed. Emergency vehicles. You must yield the right-of-way to any police vehicle, fire engine, ambulance, or other emergency vehicle using a siren and red lights. So drive to the right edge of the road and stop until the emergency vehicle has passed. However, never stop in an intersection. If you are in an intersection when you see the emergency vehicle, continue through the intersection and then drive to the right side when it's safe to do so. Emergency vehicles often use the wrong side of the street to continue on their path. They sometimes use a loudspeaker to talk to drivers blocking their path. You must obey any traffic direction, order, or signal given by a traffic or peace officer or a firefighter, even if it conflicts with existing signs, signals, or laws. It is against the law to follow within 300 feet behind any fire engine, police vehicle, ambulance, or other emergency vehicle with a siren or flashing light. If you drive for sightseeing purposes to the scene of a fire, collision, or other disaster, you may be arrested. Casual observers interfere with the essential services of police, firefighters, ambulance crews, and other rescue or emergency personnel. Let's talk about slow-moving vehicles. Some vehicles are designed to keep up with the speed of traffic. Farm tractors, animal-drawn carts, and road maintenance vehicles usually travel 25 miles per hour or less. Slow-moving vehicles have an orange and red triangle on the back of the vehicle. It looks like the sign here in this picture. Look for these vehicles and adjust your speed before you reach them. Also, be aware that large trucks, bicycles, and small, underpowered cars lose speed on long or steep hills and take longer to get up to speed when entering traffic. Other types of slow-moving motorized vehicles, such as wheelchairs, scooters, neighborhood electric vehicles, and golf carts, may legally operate on public roads, so adjust your speed accordingly to accommodate them. Vehicles proceeding at a speed less than the flow of traffic and moving on a two-lane highway where passing is unsafe. They must turn off the roadway at the nearest place designated as a turnout or wherever sufficient area for a safe turnout exists if a line of 5 or more vehicles forms behind them. Okay, let's talk about neighborhood electric vehicles, also known as NEVs, and slow-speed vehicles, LSVs. You may have seen lanes marked or signs posted for NEV use only or NEV route on roadways in some California towns, especially those near retirement communities and golf courses. When you see these signs or markings, watch out for slow-moving vehicles on the roadway. NEVs and LSVs are restricted from roadways where the speed limit is greater than 35 miles per hour. NEV and LSV vehicles reach a maximum speed of 25 miles per hour. Owners of registered NEVs and LSVs must comply with financial responsibility laws, and a driver's license is required to operate the vehicle. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We'll see you in the next video.